Greetings, Army brethren. I'm your buddy Choppadong. I'm coming at you with another edition DFS MLB Chop Talk. We're going to get rocking and rolling. Maybe a little later this week, we will talk a little bit of Masters, being its first major of the PGA season. And I'm going to definitely be looking into that as well as playing in our VIP only swag contest that we're going to open up here shortly, where we're going to, between 100 and 200 people. A little bit top heavy pay structure, but we're going to throw swag on top of it to the winner, and we're also going to toss in a Beat the Bookie membership for those of you that are into sports betting. Something to fight for everybody at dfsarmy.com. So head down to the link and obviously become a member, because anyone from this being your first day to you being here for several years is going to be eligible to win that swag in that competition, where you get hats, t-shirts, all sorts of logoed goodies from DFS Army. We don't sell the stuff. You can only win the stuff. So use that link. Get in here today. Unlock content, tools, and coaching that making people better players every single day. And use that coupon code CHOP, C-H-O-P, to trigger that 20% off discount. Or if you really want to do something special, use the coupon code MASTERS, M-A-S-T-E-R-S, for the same 20% off discount. As you can hear, I'm suffering from a little bit of allergies, but I don't care. We're going to plow through, and we're going to dive into MLB as we go today. I have something different I want to show you regarding MLB too, but as always, you can find me out on Twitter at Choppadong, and we can talk out there too. I wanted to show you first, this is the first different thing. I did not write the full count today. Nilly J took over for me and gave me a little bit of a break and really put together a bang-up article. Nilly J does our Carnage Report, which is a purple number that explains when a pitcher's in a really, really good spot, and a dark red number explaining when he is about to get torched. And this is an article. This is a metric that has a lot of different factors in it that honestly a lot of people inside DFS Army have really latched onto and love. And you can see some of the pitchers that he's picking out today, from Tanaka to Ryu. Ryu's probably the best pitcher on the slate. From there, I haven't done a ton of research on my own, but I will run through my player pool and get together what I can here in a little bit. These are the pitchers we might want to attack against. This is an awfully high number for Miles Michaelis to start the season. Cashner and Sanchez are obviously attackable as well, so Philly and Oakland stacks are in play. There's a classic batter sheet. If you read that article, you can see also another tool that Nilly's in charge of. He also does our DK tiers information. So a lot of stuff from Nilly J as a contributor. He also is very, very involved in NASCAR, which is probably our most dominant sport in DFSArmy.com. We don't charge by the sport like some places do. We charge everything. Once you get into everything is unlocked. You want to play NASCAR? Go learn NASCAR. You want to play soccer? Go learn soccer. You want to play MLB or PGA? Go learn it. We have every single thing unlocks to you when you join DFSArmy.com. You get access to these coaches in our coaching forums that walk through their 5- and 4-star plays. We help you build your lineups. I was just talking to a guy today, brand new to baseball, was sitting there helping him put together the concept of stacking in his head, which I know is a foregone conclusion to a lot of us MLB people, but everybody started somewhere. And when I first started playing MLB, I didn't understand what stacking was either. So I'm more than willing to sit there and help these guys get them off on the right foot and get them started in the right direction so they can start building competitive lineups this afternoon. Lots of things to talk about inside MLB today, but let's dive into the research station. Take a look at our pitchers. As you know what I do, I sort by K-score. So we'll sort that by descending. We'll bring the big dogs to the top. Verlander, Sanchez is interesting because Sanchez was on Nilly's Carnage Report as being tattooed today. Cahill, Ryu, whatever. These guys are a little bit lower on the slide, but we would want to look at a combination of Vegas odds as well and pricing. And at 9,400, I don't think Ryu is going to be I don't think you're going to beat it. Would you pay $1,000 more for Verlander facing the Yankees? Maybe in tournaments, probably not in your cash or your hybrid type lineups. If you don't know what a hybrid lineup is, you need to become a member at dfsarmy.com. We talk about that. It's a phrase we coined 3 or 4 years ago for football that is carried into a lot of the other lineups that we build. Madison Bumgarner, same price as Ryu. Pretty much don't know that I'd be taking him over Ryu, except in tournaments. These guys are a little bit vulnerable for savings. You know, Teheran in Coors is interesting. The BVP against Teheran from the Rockies is not stellar, and they're running cold. So I'd take tournament shots. I might even take hybrid type shots on a Teheran today. You'll definitely get him in a little bit lower ownership. I don't know if I'd dip down to a Felix Hernandez. I'd probably take a Teheran over him or pay up for Ryu. Somebody else in the middle, not sure. Michaelis has been off the 2 rough starts. Be a hell of a GPP pick today. he had 2 rough starts last year and then really settled in. Maybe this is the day where he gets settled in. Freeland's a little bit pricey on FanDuel, but he pitches very, very well at home. Nice SP2 on DraftKings. And I'm not kidding you. This is a real interesting large field GPP play in Andrew Cashner. A lot of people are going to be stacking against him today. I'm going to tell you this. Oakland only scores 3.6 runs per game on the season so far. And Baltimore does give up 5 runs per slate or per game, but that's only a rating of an 8.6 if you add those two numbers together. 3.6 plus 5.0 is 8.6. And that is a metric that I used in hockey a lot, telling me which offenses are going up against bad defenses. And in baseball, it's going to change because we've got ace pitchers and we've got back of the rotation guys, and I get all of that. But as a general rule, it's something I plan to incorporate into what I'm looking at in baseball. And if I looked at that Baltimore-Oakland game is not a very good one. An 8.6 and a 7.5 for Baltimore is not really, really strong. When you go Philly against Washington, Philly has a 13. Philly is scoring 7.3 runs per game, and Washington's giving up 5.7. So if I'm not running up against Max Scherzer tonight, then I might as well load up with some Philly bats. They're obviously hot, and they're facing a team that's having some ERA issues. I look down the slate a little bit more. I see the New York Yankees have a 7, so they're not in a great spot. Houston, a 6.2. Houston's only scoring 2.7 runs per game, and they're facing the Yankees, who are giving up 3.5. So add those together, and you get 6.2. That's not a strong number comparatively across the slate. And yet, Houston, nobody would argue they're a bad offense. They're just not off to a very, very good start. LA Dodgers facing St. Louis. LA's ripping the cover off the ball. 8 runs per game. St. Louis is allowing 4.9. You can get into St. Louis's bullpen, do some damage. That's a 12.9 score. That's second only to, I guess it's third on the slate, to Philadelphia and then Seattle. So let's talk about Seattle next. 7.5 runs for, 5.6 against for Kansas City. Add those together, you get a 13.1. But Kansas City is in a good spot on their own by this particular way of looking at things. They score 4.9 runs per game and are going up against Seattle, allowing 5.1. That's a 10.0. That's fourth highest on the slate. When you end up with a couple of double-digit teams going up against each other, a 13.1 and a 10.0 in this case, I would call a small shootout warning. Neither of these teams are pitching very well, and both offenses are tending to score some runs. So it seems like tonight that might be a game stack possibility, and with a Coors on the slate, with names like Washington, Yankees, Houston, Oakland, and Baltimore, things that people are going to flock to, this is a very, very intriguing game stack in Seattle and Kansas City. That if that game blows up and you catch the right bats, it could definitely win you a GPP. You will have that combination to yourself. So when we look for the pitchers, we want to compare these game scores, if you will, to bad pitching. So I would sort that DFSA grade by ascending so that the bad pitchers come to the top and then the bad metrics come to the top. These guys down in here have a lot of bad going for them. Granted, they've got a little good going for them, but a lot of bad going for them. So Estrada, Teheran, and Freeland are guys that I would be looking at tonight to stack against as well. 20 for Cashner is very, very bad. These numbers in pink are not great. These overall DFSA grades under a 30 isn't great. So anything over Marco Estrada is going to be in play today. So when I scroll back over here to the left, Oakland, Angels, Washington Nationals, Royals, there's the Royals, there's Seattle, sneaky, sneaky, both of them are on the list. Giants, don't really trust the Giants to really get after Eric Lauer. They might, but they're not really doing a whole lot themselves. They're only scoring about 2.8 runs per game, rather anemic offense. I'm not suddenly thinking they're going to score 8 runs tonight. I don't think they have it in them. Colorado and Atlanta, of course, are going to be popular. Down here, sneakier on the list, facing a little bit better pitching. Milwaukee, Philadelphia, which is interesting because Anibal Sanchez was on that Carnage report as being very, very bad. But when you slide over here, he's got 13 on the bad category and a 43 rating. That's not exactly terrible. So you're going to pick your poison there. And then down here lower are the better pitchers on the slate. Your Tanakas, Verlanders, Bumgarner, if he's turned it around, Michaelis, if he's turned it around, and Ryu. These are the 5 pitchers I'd mostly be considering with maybe a GPP shot at Teheran because he's so cheap, especially on DraftKings as an SP2. So these are the kinds of things. This is kind of the area that I'm looking and that I'm heading, and what I would end up doing if I wrote those stacks down: Oakland, Baltimore, Seattle, Kansas City, LA, Atlanta, Colorado, etc. I'd be heading over into the Trends tab here. I'd turn these early games off, and I'd sort by my L7 WOBA by descending so that I bring the hotter hitters to the top of the page. If you don't know what L7 WOBA is, it is the last 7 days of what a hitter's WOBA has been. So Eric Thames, in 11 plate appearances over the last 14 days, is hitting a 529 WOBA, but he's hitting a 988 WOBA in his last 7 days. So he's obviously running a little bit hot with the 500 plus. You want a 400 plus, but he's actually running even hotter right now. There's no way the pricing can keep up with this kind of accelerated curve in production. And so at 2,900, it's a ridiculously cheap price. If you see Eric Thames in the starting lineup today, you might take him as a one-off. We know he hits for power. We know he's hitting the cover off the ball right now. Might take a shot on the guy. But I'm looking mostly for guys over that 400 mark. I love them when they're over 500. So if I want to go, say, Atlanta first time, we'll just go kind of chronologically or, alphabetically by teams high. This is not even alphabetical. Who knows how that's organized? But if we roll through there, Tyler Flowers, if he gets the start, hitting well. Ozzie Albies, Freddie Freeman, Matt Joyce, if he gets the start. 5 plate appearances isn't much. 398, Dansby Swanson's close. Dansby Swanson might be cooling off a touch. See the 449 drop into a 398? Might be cooling off a little bit. Might be time to start looking for greener pastures, especially since his price jumped going into Coors at 3,900. Very, very interesting. When he's not in Coors and he's a low $3,000 or a $2,900 player, I've been using him all year so far with great success. Your other guys like your Albies and your Freeman are going to be jacked up, but at least they can justify the production. That if you wanted to run some kind of a stack in there, you'd look for a Matt Joyce to start. You'd look for a Tyler Flowers to start. Down in here, you don't really want some of these really cold guys, but an Inciarte leading off, might be okay. Markakis at 4,000 is pretty decent price for him. We saw what he did last week. So these would be bats that I'd be focused on. Colorado. Fuentes only 1 plate appearance. Ionetta is producing, and the rest of them kind of aren't. David Dahl just hit the questionable tag or something. Trevor Story looks questionable. These are guys I'd look into a little bit more today, but these are why nobody needs to touch this. They're not hitting for crap. Kansas City, another name we mentioned. Alex Gordon ripping the cover off the ball. Ryan O'Hearn, if he gets a start. The rest of them not so much, but Merrifield leads off. Mondesi can be pretty good. We might look down into Jorge Soler, although that number is really, really bad. It'd be tough to find a Kansas City stack we like today. LA is probably going to be very, very similar. You got Mike Trout and then everybody else. As compared to the Dodgers, who are just absolutely just smoking the ball. 5 or 6 spots are playable inside that lineup. Verdugo, again, small sample size, but if he gets the start, definitely worth it. Cody Bellinger, I think we all know how hot he is right now. Russell Martin, Austin Barnes. Austin Barnes has cooled way off. Kiki Hernandez, David Freese, Max Muncy might be heating up, poking into the 400 range now. We're going to watch these guys for a little bit. See, I can compare what they were 2 weeks ago versus what they are now. 346 versus 407, 373 versus 416, 494 versus 4. This one's going down a little. 520 versus 540, 580 versus 540. 540 is still great. Would probably still be playing him. 619 versus 650 on a smaller sample size. But these are the guys that are ascending, that are starting here and then improving here, are guys that I'm definitely going to be keying on as we start getting 2 week numbers as opposed to 1. I can take smaller sample sizes and lay them over bigger sample sizes and start picking trends. Is the guy ascending or is he descending? If he's ascending, I want to play him because his price isn't keeping up with him. If he's descending, then I might want to consider getting off of it, depending. I mean, descending from a 580 to a 540, I mean, come on. Is he really descending? You know what I mean? Let's see, Milwaukee, New York Yankees. Yankees been a slower starter, but we got a couple of bats here playable. LeMahieu, Torres, Sanchez. Right down in here, your Stantons and your Judges are overpriced. 391 for Judge to a 359 is not going in the right direction. 269 for Gardner to 356 is going in the right direction. If he continues to stay hot, there's a sneaky play because at 3,400 he might be a little bit underpriced. That's about right for him, actually. He's more of a low threes player. Oakland's in a good spot today. So we'll thumb through these guys really, really quickly and look at a Fegley if he gets the start. These guys have cooled off a little bit, hence the reason they're only scoring 3.6 runs per game. How much faith do we really have in Andrew Cashner for this price? $6,000 on both sites is a pretty cheap SP2 type or a GPP type pitcher because you can really catch a lot of people off guard. People are flocking to Oakland today, and I would like to know why. There's not a lot of production. Now, if Cashner's serving up meatballs, great. They're going to thump him pretty hard. But if Cashner's pitching at all competently, I think he shuts Oakland down pretty good because Oakland isn't swinging a hot bat themselves. Philly, San Diego, Seattle. Look at them, then we'll bail out of here. But Seattle's coming back a little bit off of a couple of big games in Chicago. You know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 playable guys. A 270 to a 370, and D. Gordon is ascending. That's actually a good ascension rate. I don't like that he's hitting the bottom of the order. You know, down, down, down. But this one's down a little bit. This one's up again. So who's that? Mitch Haniger coming up. 450 is fine, but it is descending a little bit in Tim Beckham. About 440 to 490 out of Jay Bruce is still coming up. 520 to 500-ish is still okay out of Tom Murphy, small sample size. Vogelbach, small sample size, but he's ascending. And you saw what he did the other day. Let's dive into another metric, and then we'll wrap this one up today. But I wanted to show you the starting lineups page. This is another way that we use things. If you understand WOBA, weighted on base average, you might understand XWOBA. It removes some of the luck and tells you what the guy should be doing. Measuring Statcast data, you know, launch angles, bat, exit, velo, all that kind of stuff. And generally speaking, when the ball is hit at this angle, at this miles per hour, it falls in for a double, it falls in for a triple, whatever, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So when you're looking at these in comparison to each other, you want somebody running at a high XWOBA, meaning he should be hitting very, very, very well, but running at a low WOBA because he's not getting the results. He's suffering from some bad luck. I would caution that metric in just one way, the shift. Oftentimes guys are rifling the ball right into the shift. That isn't bad luck, that's stupid hitting. These guys need to go the other way more often, and then these people will stop shifting on them, and then they can go back to hitting the ball they normally do. They need to stop being so damned arrogant and think. I mean, baseball, Yogi Berra said it best back in the freaking 50s or whenever it was with hit it where they ain't. I don't care if you put all 9 guys on the right side of the infield. I'm going to learn to hit to the left side. And I know they'll pitch me inside or they'll pitch me whatever and try and force me to go the other way. But you know what? I can learn to adjust. I can learn to look for pitches to go the other way. And these hitters don't do it. They just think they want to hit it all over the wall. And all they're doing is instead of hitting into 3 or 4 defenders on that half of the field, they're hitting into all 9 of them. They're stupid. I mean, nobody ever said baseball players were the smartest dudes in the world. They're not mechanical engineers. But at the same time, you know, they're not nuclear medicine doctoral candidates or anything. I get that. And I'm not trying to insult baseball players. Some of them are obviously smart guys. But the fact of the matter is, in this regard of beating the shift, they're dumb. If I was a baseball player, you would never shift on me. I would take you. You don't shift on Joey Votto. You don't shift on some of these Christian Yelich all-field type hitters, at least certainly not very often. And the reason why is these guys go the other. You would never shift on Ichiro. And that's who I would mold myself after. I'd be a little Ichiro guy. I'm not a power hitter, but I would be a little slap hitter that can put it over there, put it over there, put it over there, put it over. Wherever you pitch me is where I'm going to hit it. You'd have to play me straight up. So if I was somebody like a Matt Carpenter type that could also hit for power, then if you want to just throw all those guys on the right side of the field, fine. I'll hit it to the left side of the field for a while, dump in a few of them until they start pulling you back around that way. And I know you're trying to take my power away. You're trying to keep me from hitting over the wall. Fine. I'll hit 400 for the year then, dumbasses. You know, I mean, only Ted. If you had a guy hit 400 back-to-back years, and they started resurrecting names like Ted Williams, and this guy might be the greatest hitter since Ted Williams, you don't think that's worth a few $100 million contract? Come on. These guys got to shove that pride down in their cup somewhere, and they need to stop trying to hit the damn ball over the fence every single time. Hit it the other way, get that defense to shift back around to where they play you more straight up, and then start smoking the ball again. Stop being so damn stupid. I mean, I just don't understand the mentality of the 2019 baseball player. I don't get it. Strikeout or home run only. And they're going to pay the price for it because their averages instead of 260, 270 could be 350 easy if they just learn to beat the freaking shift. Or drop a bunt down once in a while. Tap that thing to that third baseman who's over there tucked up against second base, and you can just do somersaults all the way to first base. He'll never throw you out because he'll never come and get the ball. Anywho, this XWOBA and WOBA differential, before I went on that diatribe about the shift, is a good metric most of the time. It's telling you, again, who's getting results and who should be getting better results. So we can look for this differential to be a heavy positive, but you're going to want to take both of these numbers into consideration again. Like Yohan Moncada, Should be hitting it at 510. He's hitting it at 422. 422 is still great. So both these numbers are great. And here, somebody like well, this is one I'd watch. Adam Engel hitting it at 249 should be hitting it at 431. That is a big number. He should bounce back. Good value pick potentially there in a good pitching matchup. If he's facing a bad pitcher today, which he's not, in Snell, then the early slate anyway, but if he is facing a bad pitcher, you might take a shot at this in some kind of a wrap stack. But at 263, is what he should be hitting, and he's only hitting a 220. Yeah, it's a positive differential, but it still sucks. Need to show me a little better than that. And a 515 in the other direction, a 515 xwOBA is great. A 795, he is running hot. He's getting incredible results right now. So what? He's supposed to be hitting it at 515. If he cools off to his quote-unquote normal numbers, he's still ripping the cover off the ball. So this big negative doesn't mean get off of Tim Anderson. These are just things that you can look at to help, kind of look at a piece of the puzzle. Baltimore and Oakland. Look at all of the differentials. They're all pretty low in WOBA, but they're not really great in xWOBA either. Oakland's not showing signs of barreling the ball. Telling you, that makes me very intrigued by Cashner tonight. Washington, at least showing some greens. Showing some greens in Philadelphia. This is why we may like Philadelphia. Going against Anibal Sanchez. Philadelphia may be a great team to stack tonight. You might look at guys that xWOBAs and WOBAs are fairly close together, like McCutchen. Segura needs to probably be a little higher. I'd like to see that number closer to 400. Harper, of course. Hoskins, of course. He's getting a little better results than he should, but 440 is still fine. Might not be playing Real Muto. I might be waiting for him to heat back up a little bit. Getting 263 should be a 345. Cesar Hernandez is a value play, not a value play on DraftKings, but as a value play on FanDuel. Maybe as part of a stack down here with Maikel Franco. Put a little Hernandez-Franco together. You might have something. Wrap it with McCutchen. You might have something. You might have a little bit of a cheaper way to get away from where everybody else is going to be focused. Differentiate yourself in some tournaments. These are the kinds of things that we talk about inside DFSArmy.com constantly. So I'm going to go ahead and cut the video off. I'm going to take off 20 minutes. We've done enough. You've seen that PGA Masters is coming. You've seen a little bit about the contest that we're running. You know you need to be a member by clicking the link down there in the comment section and using the coupon code CHOP or MASTERS. And on top of that, you can see all the baseball information that we have coming out every day. You can use my method of L7 WOBAs, or you can use the starting lineups page for X WOBAs versus WOBAs. Whatever it is you want to do, I would suggest that you pick a system and you stick with it for a week or two and you measure its results, because you might pick it on day one and it might just be bad luck. You got to let that pan out 3 days, 5 days, 7 days, 10 days, something along those lines, to where you can start to see the good days and the bad days happen and see if it is helping you pick better players in general. If it is, stick with the system. If it's not, maybe you incorporate something else. Maybe you still look at these numbers, but then you start picking up the L7 WOBA and picking players that are good in both categories. And then that pigeons down even farther to the actual players that you might, and you track that for a week or so and see if your lineups don't start getting better. These are the types of things that you do. You don't just go, well, I'll use xWOBA today, and then I'll use WOBA tomorrow, and then I'll use OPS the next day, and then I'll use Carnage Report the next. No, you're chasing your tail at that point. If you want to use Carnage, but stick with it for a week or so and let some of the good days and the bad days flow through you, and then maybe incorporate something else. And again, that's what our coaches help guide you through as you learn to play this game at a higher level, at a better level than you're used to, and hopefully start winning more money than you've been winning in the past, say, last year or the year before. You can only do that by clicking the link, dfsarmy.com, becoming a member, using the coupon code CHOP or MASTERS, and jump in here today and get yourself eligible to win the Masters contest, get yourself some swag. You'll really piss some veterans off if you're a brand new member and you win all the swag. I encourage you to do it, because when the members get ticked off, they dig in harder and they get better too, and it's a win-win for everybody, including the community as a whole. I'm Choppadong. I'm out of here. I'll see you guys tomorrow or Wednesday. We'll probably come back, talk a little bit more golf as the golf stuff starts dropping. We'll always be talking baseball. We've got another 5 3/4 months ahead of us. So welcome to summertime, guys. Glad to have you on board. Hopefully you guys become members. Let's go have a plus EV day. Take care.